That might be the most complete game of six to one. I'm not going to say the game was never close, but I think the Avs were pretty definitively the better team from start to finish. Can the Avs play a whole lot better than that?
No, it was great. It was a great team effort. Great. We talked about depth scoring. We got it. We talked about Mikko Max scoring on 5-on-5. Got it. Talked about one shorty, right? One shorty?
Yep, one shorty.
Lucky. Yeah, one shorty, lucky.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there you go. You won the special teams battle. Your power play was better. Didn't score. It was better. Everything was a little better. They executed compared to last night. And they took the lead, and then they were gifted a goal on the second goal and then never looked back. So, yeah, again, it's kind of nice to see that, and it's nice to have goaltending because it sure makes a difference.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about every little piece of it. But I want to start with this. And, look, obviously the one goal against a pretty bad defensive breakdown. I think there were a handful of bad defensive breakdowns tonight. But that happens in every hockey game. It's part of a full 60-minute NHL hockey game. When you look at this game, during the meaningful minutes of this hockey game, 35 minutes into this game, the Avs had given up 9 shots on goal. When you're going into the third period, the Avs had given up 13 shots on goal at the point that they were up by 2, and they go on to blow out the game, and the shots on goal end up close because the last 15 minutes of this game just weren't all that relevant. But from a defensive team-wide effort, especially in a Segababa situation, that is true elite shutdown caliber hockey.
Absolutely. Avalanche are a good team. We knew they were going to take advantage of the weakened, Minnesota Wild lineup. We all know that. But the Avs have been weakened every night, as we know. So that's what the Avs have been facing all year long. So I don't want to hear from fan bases or people. It is what it is. And the Avs have been hitting the hardest in the National Hockey League when it comes down to real injuries. But, again, everything was clicking tonight. They took advantage of, and I love the fact that good teams don't lose 2 in a row. They took it to heart. They wanted to make sure that they executed. Makar talked about it. We talked about it on our pregame with the keys and everything, but Makar talked about executing. And then, again, it starts with an unbelievable play by Josh Manson to Logan. And again, it gets you going. It makes your bench awake. It makes you alive. And like you said, they didn't give a lot of shots the first half of the game, which made them control play, control the game, and never fell behind in this game. And when you don't do that, and when the Avalanche doesn't fall behind in a hockey game, usually they close it out. And they sure did that tonight from the get-go. It was under control. It was dominant at times, but it was like never on pins and needles that this game was not in the bag. So, it felt good. It's one of those games that you need once in a while too, mentally, physically, and, emotionally, where you're just cruising through. When I'm talking about cruising is on the scoreboard. You're not really panicking. You just know you have everything under control. And then, the big fella made the saves that he had to make, and he wasn't that busy, but when he was busy, he was outstanding.
Yeah, I loved Mackenzie Blackwood's game tonight, to be honest with you. We've talked about it before, but 35 minutes of hockey, and he's had to make 8 saves and gave up 1 goal. 9 shots in 35 minutes of hockey. That is about as light a workload as you can get on a regular night in the NHL. And he kept himself in it.
You and me were talking about this before they even get Wedgwood, right?
Yeah.
Blackwood. God, the Wood brothers. You and me were talking about it all the time. He's a volume goalie. Like, he does well when he gets a lot of shots. How's he going to do if the Avalanche, let's face it, you have three of the best players in the world, you control the game. That's just the way it is. Most nights, it's nights like tonight where halfway through the game, you're like, oh my God, there's 10 shots against. How's he going to
Yeah.
react to that? Well, tonight, that's probably his best non-busy night that he's ever had, because every time there was a grade A, he was right there making the save. And that's not
Yep.
easy to do, like you said. And that was, for me, telling. And it's not the first time now. It's a few times he's done this now since he's been here. Then he's had a few busier nights. So I think he's shown that he can play. Like the Avalanche can play any style of game. We've talked about that before. They want a track meet. You want this, you want that. They're in for it. Well, Blackwood right now showing us and the rest of the league, hey, I can play any type of game that is thrown at me. And again, there's a reason why, and if people don't believe us, there's a reason why most of the league, when the trade was made a month ago, whatever it was, there was a lot of F-bombs around the league. Because it's like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me, because now they're getting goal. They're going to get goaltending, something that they didn't have, and now all of a sudden everybody's proven right. Like, hey, I understand that it's 82 games a season, that it's playoffs and all that. Well, we're good, but since the trade, they don't lose many games. There's a reason for that. It just gives you
Yep.
confidence. It gives you wings, and that's exactly what it did again tonight.
Well, and here's what I like about this game. Two things from Blackwood specifically. One, yeah, the Avs played a great game in front of him. He kept himself in it when it was low event hockey. But two, even with low event hockey, a good number of the chances he faced were high danger. And the reality of a Sega Baba game is you're going to ask your goalie to come up with some big saves for you. And that's exactly what he did. And then I'm happy for him that he got to pad the stats a little bit in the third period, a bunch of empty, meaningless shots against from Minnesota, where his numbers end up looking really good at the end of the night because he deserved that tonight.
Yeah, and that's your job as a goalie, right? Your job is to make the saves you're supposed to make, and then some. And then this is the National Hockey League. I don't want to hear like, oh, Kaprizov is there. Doesn't matter. It's still a good team. The Minnesota Wild are a good team. There's still some good players. And then all of a sudden, you're going to give up grade A chances. It's just life in the National Hockey League. But you're expected
Yep.
to make some of those saves, and you're expected to make more than just a few. And that's what he's been doing. He makes the saves that he has to make, and then he makes the ones that he's not supposed to. And that's kind of what coaches want. That's what players want. There's not one single player with the Avalanche right now that are not talking about. I was listening to Josh Manson postgame there, saying that, yeah, exactly. He's a calming presence back there. It makes you play better. It just does. It just does.
Yep.
There's no going back to the bench slamming your stick saying, make a effing save. You know what I mean? There's none of that anymore. There's none of that.
Yep.
And it's like, let's go play. And that's fun. It's fun to watch.
Yep. It's a good hockey team. I think we all already knew that, but it's good to see them consistently reiterate that they can do this. And 99% positive tonight. We're going to talk about a lot of positive things. So I want to get a couple of quick negatives out of the way here really quick so we can get by them, and then we can talk about all of the good things. The goal against is what it is. I'm not too worried about any night where you give up one goal against, but it did feel like there were a significant number of structural defensive breakdowns from the Avs as a team tonight, despite the quality play overall. Eric, how much of that gets chalked up to it being a Sega Baba and maybe your legs aren't quite there? How much of that gets chalked up to Calvin Hahn's been out of the lineup for a while? This is a second game back, so there's some adjustments getting made there. You have to adjust to no Sam Girard on that decor too. Are there enough factors here where you're just not thinking too much about the defensive breakdowns, or is there something to maybe grind on in practice a little bit?
No, I'm not worried about it. I mean, you're going to get a freaky play like that, and that's why I tell you all the time, shoot the puck. Shoot the puck, because when there's rebounds and you hit the net, it's called a broken play. You can't defend broken plays because all hell breaks loose. It happens in a fraction of a second. Everybody turns, and you can see everyone, including Drouin's like falling, looking, dying, and then Parker Kelly forgets the guy, and because you don't know where you're at because you're turning your skates because you're trying to find pucks, and then all of a sudden you're all over the map, and then your assignment's been blown, then the other guy's like, God, do I help my buddy? Or do I not help? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we always say don't help your buddy because two mistakes don't make it right, right? You know what I mean? You don't compound a mistake by making another one. But then it's just human nature. And then you're all trying to chase the puck. And where is the puck? And where do I go? Where's my guy? And that's what broken plays do. When you play them perfectly, there's no scoring chance there. This was not perfectly played. It's one of those that falls in the category that you said. There will be some scoring chances against in the night. That was one of them. And then all of a sudden they capitalize on it. And, even Blackwood there can't even see it. Who's in front of him? Calvin?
Yeah.
Or I remember. Yeah, so Calvin. He can't see the shot. And all of a sudden it's like, okay. And then you're like, are you kidding me? Zach Bogosian, of all people, like not a 50-goal scorer.
Bar downs it.
And then, bar downs it. Looks like Mikko Rantanen doing it. And then it's almost, a minute and a half. And you're like, you got to be kidding me. Like, there was a nothing burger period, up 2-0. Now you're like, oh, God, this is just making it interesting. I lied 5 minutes ago. I said they never looked back. They were never in danger. Well, after that goal, probably we're like, yikes. Are you serious? Come on. And then obviously nothing happened the last minute. And then, then they went in the second period and won that one, 1-0. And then again, really never looked behind past that. So maybe there was that couple minutes there where I'm a liar about saying they weren't really thinking about anything. But yeah, that Zach Bogosian play, I'm not saying it's anything. It's structural. I don't think it's anything. It's a broken play, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose, and you're just trying the best you can to recover and see where you're at, and then they weren't having it. Like, they were all baseball swinging. I don't know what they were doing, but everybody's trying to get the puck. They didn't know what was going on, and Parker Kelly's probably the one that's going to be like, God, that's on me. You know what I mean? Because it's like he was kind of the one that was like, I mean, there's so many mistakes.
I think it's on Drouin more than anybody else, but sure, he's one of the guys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody points fingers. Everybody points it at themselves, and this is a play you look at after the period in the locker room there, and you're like, oh God, you know what I mean? And it's like, we could have all played it better, but we all chased it, we all figured it out, and then next thing you know, it didn't work out. So. But let's just go to work and let's go win the second, and they did that.
And my other thing on that is a pet peeve of mine here. And to be fair, Calvin DeHaan ended up as one of the Avs' best possession defensemen on the night. Really, I didn't like his game that much on my watch, but the stats say otherwise. So that could be me misjudging the play. But I will say, my pet peeve: let your goalie play goalie. When you're at the top of the crease, you shouldn't be blocking shots. Go out and challenge the puck carrier. Stay on your feet. Try and make a play. That play specifically is just, it worms into my brain, and I don't like it. The only other negative.
There's a saying.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's a saying, like, if you're going to block the shot, you better block it. And that's the rule. Or get out of the way. You know what I mean? Or have your stick, stick on stick, or try to, tip it in the stands. Obviously, like, goalies will tell you, I don't mind if you want to block it, but you better block it, because I can't see it. That close, I can't react. Nobody's got, again, Zach Bogosian, not a 50-goal scorer, but looks like a 50-goal scorer there because the goalie has no idea. He can't see it once it leaves. It's so close that by the time he sees it, it's already past him. You know what I mean? There's no chance. So the rule is get out of the way if you're not going to block it.
Fair enough. The only other negative, and we don't need to spend a lot of time on it, we've talked enough about this. Power play goes over again tonight. I agree. Yeah. It looked better at times, but you got to put pucks in the net on that thing eventually. It has to go in, and your special teams made up for it. Your penalty kill scored a shorty, so you won the special teams battle anyway. But the streak of poor power play is starting to get into too long. You're one for your last 15, I think it is now. Maybe it's even 16. You're talking about flirting with a 5% power play at that point. That's bad.
Did you I know they didn't score, but did you like the looks they got or no?
I liked some of them. I liked one that it felt like Mikko Rantanen was shooting the puck a little bit more. He missed a pretty much open net, just shanked it to the side and had a couple of other opportunities where he was pulling the trigger. It's still too passive from Nathan MacKinnon for me. He's still trying to force those pucks to the middle, especially on their first power play. He really seemed to be stuck in that rut of trying to force pucks either to the bumper spot or all the way across to Mikko. And like they were good players tonight. I think at 5-on-5 they looked much better than they did the other night. But whatever it is that's wormed into their head, or at least MacKinnon's head on the power play, he's got to simplify.
Yeah, I agree, and for me. Again, I felt they worked better, and again, there's no cut up oranges and juice boxes, right? In the National Hockey League, you produce or you don't produce. So they didn't produce. I agree with that, but I think it was a step in the right direction in my book. I felt that there was a little bit more crispier. You know, what I mean, with the zapping it around. I felt like you just said it. Miko felt like he was going to shoot. Even Mac was trying to shoot a little more a couple times. I don't know. Sometimes it just you got to look back one game or two games before, and then all of a sudden it takes off.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that tonight maybe unlocks a few things, and then you're gonna need your power play Saturday against the Winnipeg Jets. You know what I mean? And maybe that's when it starts going back in the right direction after a night like tonight where it didn't hurt them, obviously, because they didn't need it, but they had a few more things. So we'll give them the roses there or whatever it is you want to call it a little bit because it was better. But then again, not good enough if you want to make sure you win that game Saturday. It's going to need to be better, and better means producing on it.
Yeah, look, if you're going to go over on the power play, a night like tonight where you don't need it is a whole lot better than a night where you feel like you needed it. So, not going to complain too much about that. And we can move on and talk about the good stuff right after we pay some bills. Make sure that when you have a sick 6-1 win from the Colorado Avalanche, that you're living well. Get with Live Well today. 25 different locations here in Colorado. All Live Well wants to do is make sure everybody has access to cannabis so that you can live well. Go jump in with them today. Obviously, you can go to livewell.com. That's livwell.com to get your order online for pickup in any one of their 25 locations. And you can always go in store and order there. Of course, they have great professionals who will help talk you through whatever product you might want. If you're an expert, you can also just go in there and pick out what you want. So either way, they've got you covered. And Live Well will give you 25% off one item that is full price when you mention code DNVR25 in store. Of course, restrictions apply, but go get a great deal over at Live Well today. And again, if you want to be fast, order online at livewell.com for pickup. Once you've got your cannabis situation all sorted out, make sure you've also got your sunglasses situations sorted with Shady Rays. Go jump in with Shady Rays today. You can get 35% off any pair of polarized sunglasses with code DNVR at shadyrays.com. You can join over 300,000 people that have rated them 5 stars. They have fantastic sunglasses for everyone. Whether you want a certain style or a certain color, you can choose pretty much anything when it comes to Shady Rays to get the look that you're going for. And the coolest part is they'll give you the first 30 days to try them. If you break them, you don't like them, or you lose them, you can get them replaced entirely for free with Shady Rays replacement program. So head over to shadyrays.com today and be sure to use that DNVR code to get your next pair of sunglasses. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Let's get into the fun bits here. Let's get into a couple of these conversations. We'll start with the stars that we have, the 3 stars of the night, and then we'll get into everyone else because there was a lot of quality play from the Avalanche tonight. Star number 3, I'm handing this one to Mikko Rantanen. I think there are a lot of guys you could have qualified as the 3rd star tonight. MacKinnon could be on there. A handful of other guys could be on there. You could have put Blackwood in there. I'm giving it to Mikko because what does Mikko do? Scores a critical goal in this game to put you up by 2 in the second period, puts you in even more of the driver's seat, sets you up to win. And how does he do that? He shot the puck. He shot the puck. This was not the highest danger chance on the planet. The Avs didn't create an unbelievably good play to get Mikko an easy goal into an empty net because the goalie flew out of the net or whatever. This is him coming down the middle, takes a drop pass from MacKinnon, and unleashes his shot that is good enough to just beat goalies clean, and that's what he does to Gustafsson. He also picks up an assist later on MacKinnon's goal. They get off of that 5v5 slide that we talked about. They both put goals into the net at 5v5 tonight. This felt a lot more like what you want out of the Avs' true superstars.
Yeah, even on that play you're talking about, maybe lately you would have seen Mikko grab it, try to go to the right backhand, saucer it to the left back to Mac,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean, where Meat and potatoes. Sometimes, you don't know what to eat. You cook meat and potatoes. You go back to the basics. You know what I mean? And you just eat. How does Miko eat? Well, he scores. And how do you score 50 something goals a year? Well, you shoot the puck. If you don't shoot, you can't score. I mean, it's that simple. It's a stupid statement, but it's so true. And then I think right there was such a simple play. Mac drops it, pushes, the defender, which happens to be a forward there, Hartman. But, obviously he's like, oh my God, I got a dog, a bull coming at me, and a moose. You know what I mean? It's pretty scary. And then they back off. And then Miko, that's what he does best. And then he just picks the corner. Looks like nothing. It looks like a nothing burger. And next thing you know, it's a 6 shot. And all of a sudden, it's a huge goal for the Avalanche. And it is a 5-on-5 goal you were talking about. This is something they hadn't done in, was it 12 games? We calculated before the game. Something like that, besides the empty net goals.
Games, yeah.
10 games, and the power play goal. So it was awesome to see. It was great to see the big Moose. And there's one thing, I just want to add one more thing about the Moose that I really love. And that tells you how much of a team guy he is. There was a 2-on-1 slash, he was coming back door there a little bit late. Was it Kivy that gave it to Kelly on that goal there? Was it Kivy that gave it to Kelly?
Yes, it was Kivy.
Yeah, so anyway. Yeah, so Kivy gives it to Kelly, and Kelly looks like Mikko Rantanen on that shot there. You know what I mean?
What a snipe. Yeah.
He picks it. I always give him crap, because he misses the net. He picks it there, looks like Mikko, and who's the guy right behind him that you see on the screen? Mikko Rantanen, 96, and he's so pumped. Pumped that Parker Kelly scored. I thought that was awesome. It shows a lot about the camaraderie and the team chemistry that a guy like Mikko can do. What I mean? You see him yell at referees sometimes and stuff like that, but he's a well-liked guy in that locker room, and I think he's a leader. And I think just to show, he was so pumped that Parker Kelly, that doesn't score that many goals. It's 4 now, but it's still, it's great. He was so excited that those guys scored a goal. Then it was fun to watch. It was fun to see his reaction.
Just to throw some numbers behind what you were talking about there, Mikko Rantanen is an elite shooter in the NHL. He's shooting a little over 20% this year. To be a 50-goal scorer shooting 20%, you have to put 200 shots on net in an NHL season. More than that, really. It's like 220. If you're shooting 25%, you'd have to put 200 shots on net to score 50 goals. You have to shoot the puck if you want to be a consistent goal scorer in the NHL. I don't care how good a shooter you are or how much you want to wait for the perfect opportunity. You have to shoot the puck. Mikko did that tonight, and a bunch of other guys did that tonight too. I think it's a great point about Kelly that you make there, Eric. This game kind of turned into the get-right game that the Chicago game was supposed to be. It just came a game later than everybody wanted. And that brings us to our second star, a guy who finally puts one in the back of the net again. It had been since early December, so a full month for Logan O'Connor since his last goal. He gets the Avs on the board in this one, the first goal of the game. A great little play, too. Josh Manson creates the pass, but it's a really good job by Logan O'Connor to find the soft spot through the neutral zone, I should say. Eric, you talk a lot about butts and elbows, right? And I know that comes from more of a defending physical aspect. But when you see someone's behind in the neutral zone and you cut into that space behind them, that's exactly what LOC did, and he opened up a lane for himself to run with that pass that he got.
And what a pass by Josh, and it ends up being a great pass because he knows his teammate. What do I mean by that? He knows the speed Logan O'Connor has, so he knows that if he puts it there, Logan's going to get there because he's got that quickness, right? You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, Logan gets behind him, like you said. He sees butts and elbows. He goes, threats the needle, and then he catches it. And as he's catching it, he's really, I think this is the first game today you really saw the real Logan O'Connor speed for me. You know what I mean? For this season. We had that surgery at the end of the year last year. It takes a little bit of time. I thought he looked so fluid there. He caught it, bent to the right, escaped the guy, and then went on and put a great perfect shot, a little blocker. You know what I mean? Or whatever, blocker side. And then, it was so great to see that. And I'm like, okay. All right, Logan's back now for good. That doesn't mean he wasn't working hard before. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the fluidity. If that's an SAT word, I don't know. But I'm just making it up on the go. If it is good, great. If not, you correct me. But I thought he was real fluid there. And it happened a few more times with Logan, too, tonight. Yeah,
Yep.
he escaped to the right side. Then he had a nice shot on the shoulder. Then he had a wrap around, the dying breed, the wrap around. He could have easily had 3-4 goals tonight in my book. I thought he was real uh, dominant at times. I thought he was the real Logan O'Connor that we're accustomed to see. I think this was the Logan O'Connor of the good days. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of good more days coming for Logan O'Connor, as we know, as he's not an old geezer like myself. So there's a lot of good days for Logan. I just felt that really, really, really fun to watch tonight.
Yeah, it was great stuff. And again, look, was Gustafsson any good tonight for Minnesota? No. Did Minnesota have a bunch of injured players tonight? Yes. So what? You got to have some of these games throughout the course of a season. You have to take advantage of poor player missing guys from other opponents and make life easier on yourselves. And the Avs did a great job of that tonight. If you go look at the TOI on the night, Avs didn't have a single forward over 20 minutes of ice time tonight. You were able to get off of some of those. It wasn't the 27 minutes that your top guys were playing the other night. So it takes a little bit of that pressure off when they have that 3rd and 4 on Saturday against Winnipeg. It's so huge to get that play out of guys like LOC to make your life easier.
100%. And like it's fun. It's fun that those guys get rewarded too. That's fun.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's You don't want a guy to go longer than a month. You know what I mean? Because it's like, God, we got to talk about this. You know what I mean? I don't want to. You know what I mean? But it's like he knows he's got to help out too. He's a good person. He's a good player. You know you have to help out, and when you do, you feel so good. You know what I mean? Then you get into a rhythm a little bit. So we'll see if he can keep it up.
Yeah, I hope so. He would go a long way if he can turn up the wick a little bit to helping the Avs get that more consistent depth scoring. And the number one star tonight, I think we both agreed pretty quickly. Josh Manson was fantastic tonight. I know they gave LOC the big hat in the locker room, but Josh Manson was a monster for the Avs tonight. Not just setting up that LOC goal, also helping with the shorthanded goal to Lecky where he makes a fantastic play. His legs were going. His defense was effective. This was the best version of Josh Manson that the Avs got tonight. And he's been pretty good lately, but this was the best version of Josh Manson. Look, I talked about the TOI. Manson played over 20 minutes tonight. He helped you on the defensive end, spread those minutes out too. This is the stuff that the Avs probably haven't gotten enough of this year, but they're showing they can get it.
And you're missing Sammy G tonight, which is a big loss. It's not overlook that loss. Sammy's a big piece of this team. You can tell when Sammy Girard's not there. But on a night like tonight, Josh, which hasn't had his best season, will be the first one to admit, but he's been a lot better lately, you just said. But he was a monster tonight. I thought he was awesome. That's a sick play to Logan. That's a sick play to, is it Lecky on the shorty? Yeah. But he was physical right before the pass to Logan. He's physical in the corner. That's Josh, the vintage Josh Manson right there. Not taking a penalty, physical, showing, let him know you're there, right? We talked about it pregame, like the movie Slapshot. Let him know you're there. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what that was. That's what Josh Manson brings. He's a big fella, a big body. But I'll tell you one thing about Josh Manson. And I think you see it right there on that second assist that he got on the shorthanded goal. He gets that little burst of speed, and he's probably the last guy you would think that's got that power. If you look at the Avalanche, you ask someone that doesn't cover the Avalanche, and you're like, hey, who's one of the guys that's got the biggest, probably burst of speed? There's not the name that comes to mind. It reminds me of Footy back then, Adam Foote. I've told you that story before, where one morning, I think we were all arguing and, saying, Footy's probably the fastest guy we have. This is crazy. I'm talking about straight line. And then we made a race, Joe Sakic versus Adam Foote, goal line to goal line. Footy won. And everybody thought Joe Sakic's the fastest guy in the world. Adam Foote was powerful, and he had that stride. I'm talking about no puck, straight down. You know what I mean? And that's what I saw a little bit in Josh tonight on that play. He just kind of had that burst right there, the first two steps, and you're like, whoa, what was that? And then he just goes backhand to Lecky and looks like freaking Cale Makar. And, when he plays games like that, this is why Josh Manson is effective. This is why Josh Manson, I would bet my, you know what? 32 teams would take Josh Manson, would want to take Josh
Is this
Manson on
another
their team. You
Speedo
know what I mean?
moment right here?
Yeah, I was gonna say my Speedo. You want to bet my Speedo that 32 teams would take him. You know, there's a reason for that, and it's a hot commodity. And when it comes to playoffs and stuff like that, you know, you want guys that are engaged. Josh is an engaged player, and tonight he was a monster for the Avs. And again,
It,
don't overlook that loss of Sam Girard. You know what I mean? Like that
yep.
was, you needed someone to step up a little bit, and Josh certainly did that tonight.
You don't even have to look at the advanced stats if you look at Manson's stat line tonight. The only defenseman with a point, he had 2 assists, plus 4, and led the team with 4 hits.
Yeah.
That's what you want out of Josh Manson and then some. So a great night for him. Those are our 3 stars. There are a couple of other guys I want to talk about, but before we get fully into those, let's pay a couple more bills here, as we are brought to you by the folks over at Game Time. The Avs were certainly ready for Game Time on this one. Look, if it were me, I wouldn't go into a building that has never seen any cups before, but if you wanted to, you could get tickets in Minnesota with Game Time. You can do that. You can get tickets anywhere in the country with Game Time. And when you sign up with code DNVR, you'll get $20 off your first purchase, which will be a great deal with their Game Time Picks feature. You put in the kind of seats you want, and they'll filter out all the junk. They'll only show you the best seats for the best prices over at Game Time. So get with them today. It works not just for sports too. Things like theater and concerts, you can get in on those too with Game Time. Go check them out. Use that DNVR code. What time is it? Is Game Time, baby.
Game time.
Let's go. And once you've got your tickets to the game, you know, make sure you're also having a Coors Light. Maybe you're tailgating before the game. Maybe you're in the arena. Make sure you grab yourself one and choose chill. When the Avs win 6-1, it's pretty easy to be chill about things. Coors literally made to chill. The mountains rather turn blue on the bottle or the can, so you know it's ice cold and ready to drink. And if you're not going to the game, you can still get it delivered right to your front door at home thanks to CoorsLight.com/DNVR and Instacart. Go get with them, whether it's that way or at your local liquor store. You can find Coors Light anywhere in the country. Of course, Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Please drink responsibly. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We talked about our 3 stars, but I think there's a lot of more props to give tonight. You kind of already talked about Parker Kelly, but I wanted to reiterate on that play. It's not just the unbelievable finish. That play starts because Parker Kelly makes a great defensive play at his own blue line. He breaks up a play, disrupts it, and gets the puck going the right direction, and then gets rewarded for it because Kiviranta sticks with a puck. He gets up that wall. He beats the defender up the wall, out-muscles him, gets the puck, and feeds it to Kelly. That is A1 depth forward hockey. And they're not going to have that ridiculously good shot every single time. Kelly's not going to finish that way, but all of the stuff that led up to that goal is perfect to me.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing a little bit of chemistry. I don't know the other word between, like, obviously Kiviranta and Kelly and guys like that. I think they start to, and there's a reason why I hate to admit it because I never saw it coming last year, to be honest with you. Why does Coach Bednar and the coaching staff trust Kiviranta? You know what I mean? Like there plays like that. That's a play. That's a hockey play. And I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus here, but this is what they want, for example, Oscar Olofsson to do. That never does.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Exactly
this keeps
right.
him in the league, keeps you out of the league. You know, that's one or the other, right? I think Oscar, for example, I'm not here to bag on him. I'm using him because it's a good example. They want to be on the first power play and get the one-timer. Well, you know what? You're not. That's Mikko Rantanen's job, and you're not better than him. So you have to do that if you want to stay in this league. And every time he comes, he doesn't do that. So now, hats off to Kivy, but we're talking about Parker Kelly, and that's, for me, I love Parker Kelly. What a nice young gentleman. I really enjoy interacting with him. He's a good man. But you need guys like that, and that's why I said when he scored, I love the reaction of Mikko. You know what I mean? I talked about it earlier, and it's like you can tell he's respected in the room. He's not a hothead. He's not a guy that causes trouble. He goes to work. He puts that chin strap pretty tight. I might add, it's a little tight, and then and he goes to work, and those are the working boots, and he blocks shots, and he does the dirty work, and it's fun to see him get rewarded, even though I got my tricks for him to score a little more, but whatever. Well, You and me have talked about that before. But tonight he picks it. He picks the corner. It's great. I love it. I love when guys like that get rewarded. And tonight it was fun to watch. And again, he could have easily been one of our stars, like you said. But you can only pick 3, right? So it's all good.
You can only pick 3. And look, I think the Avs were ready to strike at the right moments tonight. Look no further than Ross Colton's goal in the first period. Is that an absolute gift? Yes. That's not going to happen very often, but Colton is there, makes the right play in front to finish it, and then gives us the best meme of the season with his face. But hey,
that's fun.
That's the execution that it feels like at times in some of their recent losses that the Avs have been lacking.
Yeah, it's a gift, like you said. It's a gift, but you're ready for the gift. Yep. And this might be the only time of his career he gets that gift right there, and this might be the 500th time of his career that he stood in front of the goalie like this on a set forecheck and on a controlled breakout, and he's never gotten that puck, but tonight he got it, you know what I mean? So you got to be ready. He was ready. He makes no mistake. And, I mean, that's where you feel bad for the goalie. I told you never feel bad for the opposition. But on that play, you feel bad for Gustafsson. And, again, you said his numbers weren't really good tonight. Again, he got picked apart. And this is a guy that was coming back from being pulled last game that he played, right? 4 goals, got the yank. So, yeah, tough couple outings for him. And, he's been a bright spot for the, the Wild this year. And, of course, there's been some injuries lately, but he's going to have to step up his game if he wants his team to, really keep going and try to win some games, even though there seems like there's some guys coming back like Kaprizov and guys like that. So, but then again, on a night like tonight, you would have wanted to have a better night. Ross Colton that we're talking about right now didn't let him, and that ended up being the game winner.
Yeah, it did end up being the game winner at the end of the day. So good job taking advantage. Val is not on the trip, chat. He was originally scheduled to, but then they decided to leave him at home. So a couple of other guys I did want to get into or things I wanted to get into here, I suppose. First of all, I got my Ross Colton call correct. Eric, it looked like you were going to hit your 5-1, but the Avs had to go and score a shorty to ruin it for you.
I know, and I needed Malinsky to get a goal or something. I was like, come on, you know what I mean? And it didn't happen, but it was fun. It was fun to you could tell Casey was trying to get a cookie too, in front of his friends. I'm sure he had a bunch of friends there being from there, but didn't happen. But yeah, your Colton hit right there. That was nice. And then even though it was a gift, maybe you're friends with the guys on the Wild. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But maybe you slipped a 20 or to the guy on the other team there.
Called in a
felt bad. Yeah. Felt bad for him. He had his head down on the bench, and I was
tough.
like, "Oh, guys, there's no hiding. There's cameras everywhere, and it's like, yikes, that's a tough one." You know what I mean? Like, you got to feel bad, but it was funny.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. Doesn't make it feel any better, but
no,
especially for a kid who has 70 NHL games.
I know. I was like, oh god, I felt bad. Hey, it's an older guy. It's like, all right, Devontae's. It's like, okay, great.
He'll be fine.
Crap happens, But then when you're a young guy, it's like, oh. And then they'll ask you, what were you thinking? And then the answer is only simple, like, yeah, I wasn't thinking. I just fanned on it. I lifted my head and, puck went underneath my stick, and that was it. And that was the pizza, big sexy pizza delivery right there. That was a freebie.
I just happened across this stat glancing over. Playing Matt Boldy might not have been the right decision for Minnesota tonight. He was questionable before the game. He ends up -4 on the night. So, oops.
Yeah, he didn't look comfortable. I don't remember. There was so many injured players there. I was reading Russo this morning just to see like what's going on, but I don't remember. Was he sick or something like that? I don't remember.
I don't know
why he was questionable, but he didn't look right. He didn't. And me, I like Matt Boldy. You know that he's one of my my sleeper.
You and AJ, yeah.
Yeah, I really like him. I do. But I tonight I didn't, and I felt like his face was like he looked, not into it. You know what I mean? So there was definitely something wrong with him.
Is what it is. Again, Avs don't apologize for taking advantage of a depleted team. They've been on the other end of that plenty this year, so it was a good job by them. One other guy I specifically wanted to touch on, Jonathan Drouin. I'm not saying he was great tonight, but he quietly picks up another 2 points. We have this same conversation with Val Nichushkin all the time. When he's in the lineup, the Avs are a better team. And look no further than these 2 games. He's out against Chicago. Feels like the Avs are missing a little something, especially that top 6 gets no points. He's in the lineup tonight, and there are a lot of other factors, but yeah, I don't think it's all that surprising that he's in the lineup and both Mikko and Mac end up with goals on this one.
Yeah, and he makes a nice little pass. It looks like nothing to Mac on his goal. And Mac likes his cookies. I don't care what you people say. You do. You lead the league in scoring, you like cookies. You do. You feed off cookies. You know what I mean? And, he hadn't scored in a couple, whatever it was. And, again, he hadn't had that 5-on-5 goal. Now, all of a sudden, it's a nice little play there. But look no further than one of those power plays on the wall. Joe Drouin worked awesome on the wall. He battled for loose pucks. He came up with pucks in tough situations, butts and elbows. We're talking about all of a sudden you get pressured.
Yep.
It takes a certain amount of skill to be able to escape the rat trap you're in, because your back is to the play. And I feel that he always comes up with it, and which is nice, which is fun to see because, and he hasn't played a lot of hockey this year. He just hasn't. Yeah. But whenever he has played, he's been productive. He's got to be over a point a game now, right? Or he's at a point a game or whatever he is, even though it's not.
It should be over still.
Big sample. Yeah, it's not a big sample, but Joe Drouin is a big piece of this offense. You can't forget that. He's a big piece of keeping Nate MacKinnon, in a good spot as well. Yep. It's very important. You can tell that he's comfortable with them, and it's a two-way street there. Which is nice. But yeah, Joe had a good game. Hopefully, whatever that injury is, get a day off tomorrow and get back, and hopefully, again. I'm saying this knocking on wood. Hopefully you see him Saturday against Winnipeg because he's a big piece of the Avalanche offense.
Yep. Not the only piece, but yeah, those top 6 pieces especially, they do make a difference. It's funny because the Avs have spent so much of the season without so many of those pieces, but when you see them pop in and out of the lineup like that, it's pretty stark contrast of how much they do matter at times to the Avalanche. So,
well, just look no further than the start of the year when Drew, Leckie, and Nichushkin, were missing. Look, it's hard to go play games.
Yeah,
it's hard to go play games without that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, and I know, thank God, Mac and those guys still have, but there was a lot of secondary guys that were out. And Taze was, I call that a secondary guy, which is kind of scary because he's so good, but he wasn't very comfortable either. He wasn't very healthy. You could tell the first 20 games, there was something nagging with him. You know what I mean? Like, and he always had maintenance days in practice. So, again, you can't feel bad for the Wild tonight. Like we said, the Avs have been dealing with this all year. So, yeah. Unfortunately, you want people in the game, so that goes for every team. You want the best players out there. I'm not arguing that. I love hockey. I don't like seeing guys hurt. But
of course,
reality is it's part of it, and you have to know how to deal with it. And this is why I talk about Jared Bednar all the time. I was listening to a radio show today again about, it was NHL Network, maybe about, Jack Adams, and, I'm like, nobody talks about Jared Bednar. It just kills me. It kills me. Like, it's like, well, this guy, because of this, because of that. How about, like, he had no team? He had no team. Like, how's that?
He kept the team missing.
And no goalie. That's tough.
Right. Missing 4 top 6 forwards and 2 goalies with 870s, and that team managed to stay afloat at 500 until they could fix some of their problems.
Yeah, that's cool. That's, for me, that's a masterful job. You know what I mean? So, who knows? Whatever. It's fine. I don't care. It just blows my mind when I hear the names that are thrown out there, and you're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? But whatever. It's all good. We'll keep it a secret.
He can go win a bigger trophy than the Jack Adams.
Sure, exactly.
All right?
Exactly.
Is what it is. You can't fix the voting block, I guess, in the NHL.
Nope.
All right, we're going to take a quick pause here, and then we'll start to wrap things up. Okay, so I really think this might genuinely be the most positive game of the season for the Avs. They've probably had bigger wins. They've probably had funner wins. Look back to the Buffalo game. That win ended up being super fun. But again, as a team, not saying it was perfect, but as a team, it felt like every portion of the Avs was getting the job done tonight. You got the depth scoring. You got the star scoring. You got good goaltending. Yeah, your power play didn't score, but your penalty kill was aces tonight. So it's a weird reminder, right? Everyone is so caught up in these super small segments of the season, the last handful of games. I'm the one beating the drum about how the Avs have really struggled to score over the last 3 games. And then that all gets washed away so easily when you have a game like this.
Yeah, and like you said, your little brother saves you tonight, the PK, because they even score on it. So they're like, hey, you want that? I'll let you borrow that goal. And then you really, okay, we'll take it. And then you didn't give up a goal on the PK. And then because of the gift the PK gave you, the PP scores a goal, right? Even though I'm messing around, but you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, it's hard to have everything roll on all cylinders. That's why, as a coaching staff, you'll have pockets or 5, 6 pockets or whatever you look at after a game. Did we win this pocket? Did we win this pocket? Did we win this pocket? And then, maybe there's a rule of thumb, or every coach is different. Hey, if we usually win 4 out of 6, we win the game, right? Or whatever it is. Well, tonight, again, power play, you didn't lose it, but, you're probably batting 6 for 6 in any pocket they're looking at, because special teams won tonight because of the shorthanded goal and, put them all together, PPPK, obviously. So you're looking at everything rolling on all cylinders tonight for the most part, which is nice. And you need that, obviously, with a day's rest tomorrow. You know what I talk about on Saturday. I hate 3 and 4s. I really do. I don't mind Sega Babas. The Avs, I think, everybody's been talking about it since 2020. I think I was reading the stats earlier. Like, it's not even close. Their winning percentage is like .735 or something. I don't know if that was on altitude or something. And then, the Avs are rolling right now. I mean, that's just reality of everything. The Avs are rolling, and they're winning those segments, and then they're starting new segments on the right foot, and that's what you want going into the dance floor coming down, in April. So you want to make sure your shoes are shined. You've had some lessons because you're ready to go, and whatever you want to do, the tango or the trot, whatever it is, you got to be ready for the dance, and you want to make sure that you have the right elements that are getting you ready for it. And then you can only do that by getting games in and getting some experience, and kind of fun to watch right now, because as much as we were disappointed last game, overall, the last month or so, it's been pretty fun hockey to watch.
It's been pretty fun, and they're doing that, we can remind you here, with this injury list that continues to adapt and adjust, but Girard magically disappears tonight. Nichushkin still out day to day. Ivan out week to week. Wedgwood is what it is. We saw Minor the other night. Shillington, still don't know where he's at. Wood, still don't know where he's at. Who even knows with Landeskog at this point? Some of those guys, they might not get back, but some of them, they definitely will. So before you even start getting into conversations about what the Avs are going to add from outside of the organization later in this season, they're still pretty likely to add a bunch of guys inside the organization to get themselves into a better spot. If they're this good as is, those other pieces might well be the difference between a very good team and the best team in the league.
Yeah, but first and foremost, my flow's sick on that graphic. It's pretty nice. So I just want to say, and then the little lines, like, the little lines on the side there, they look pretty
nice
sick.
Fade. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks nice. I mean, it's just like a little nicer than this one. I'm still working on Phineas and Ferb there, but it's getting there. But I think that the beauty of it is, as crappy as it is with all the injuries, is you get used to them. That's how, because that's sad. That's how sad is that. It's a sad statement that I just made, because it's so freaking crappy to have injuries. It's not fun. for coaches, it's not fun for players, it's not fun for managers, it's not fun for fans. But they just seem to have no issues with it. They're always like responding, and for the most part. And I really didn't like that Sammy one before that. I'm not gonna. You guys know I love him. So, but then you read that or you hear it before the game. You're like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, really? Come
Yeah.
on. Like, it's not like, come on. It's not like it's like a call
It's
up that
old.
got
It's
injured.
old,
Is
man.
it?
Yeah.
They're big pieces, and you're like, whoa, that's just like getting. I think it's human nature to just go back and say, God, are you serious? Like, this doesn't stop. So but then again, they're like, oh, but Drouin gets back. Like I said, oh, great, awesome. You know what I mean? 1D and 1 forward. It's like, okay, well, it doesn't really help that way, but at least you're getting a secondary player, like a Drouin, a Gerard. I call that secondary guys. They're not all stars like in this league, but they're so good and so valuable to their teams that I felt bad losing Sammy tonight. I felt bad that again, didn't expect that. I'm not too sure what it was. Again, I don't remember last game. I don't remember him getting hurt or whatever it is. Hopefully, it's something minor. And I don't know. I didn't listen to Bednar's presser yet, so we'll try to figure out and hopefully, good news on him that it's not that bad or whatever it is that it is.
Yep. Hey, look, it's a divisional win too. That gets you back to 500 against the Central Division. You got another one of those coming up as we can look at what's ahead here for the Colorado Avalanche. You get the Jets as your next game. Then you get the Rangers, who are a team you would like to keep down in the dumpster. And then you have a pretty large matchup against Edmonton after that. So it's a good little stretch of hockey here for the Avs. If you look out a little bit further, which we don't have on the graphic, you play Minnesota a couple of more times and you have Winnipeg again on there. So there are some pretty interesting interdivisional games coming up for the Avs. That game for Winnipeg on the 11th. The Jets are on a Sega Baba there, while the Avs will be reasonably rested. I know you don't like the 3 and 4, Eric, but at least there's some level of fairness to that.
Yep. And as I tell you all the time, I don't look at standings, which I don't. But I tell you one thing. When you're behind teams and you play them 4 times the next few weeks, whatever it is, and then you're playing Winnipeg right there because Winnipeg's ahead, then the only thing you can do is win. And when you win, winning cures all, but it also makes you climb in the standings. Last I checked, when you win, you get 2 points, and if you win in regulation, the other team gets none. So there's a little bit of a swing there. And then if you just look at it a little bit at a time, chip away at it, chip away at it, chip away at it, you look at game 82, say, where am I at? You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it. And it's fun because you're playing the teams that you're behind. It's always tougher to climb if you're not playing those teams because it gives you a chance to control your destiny a little bit. So if you're playing those teams, you beat them, you're automatically climbing. Or if you play a team against whatever, Boston Bruins, then it's like, okay. You know what I mean? And it's like you beat them, and then Winnipeg won that night against whoever, and then, same thing. Like Minnesota wins against whoever. It's like, well, it's not really helping me. Well, that's why it's tough to climb. You know what I mean? So we all know that hole they got themselves into at the start. I think we're probably long gone by now and not talking about that anymore. You know what I mean? Because it's like really the second half now, and it's like there's no need to look back at that first week or first 10 days of the season because it wasn't pretty. Again, it was no different than tonight. They just didn't get saves. So I'm going to stick to my line there. And that's, I think tonight it shows you what that was. Early in the year, you would have lost that game tonight. And you're like, what is it? What's wrong with this team? It's like, there's not much wrong. Like you're giving up 20 shots. Like, you should win the game. It's just like last game, but you didn't, So it is what it is.
I'm not saying read too much into this stat, but I do find it interesting. After tonight's game, the Avs goal differential plus 12. Minnesota's plus 11. I'm just saying. There are some signs pointing to the Avs might be a better team than some of the teams still ahead of them in the standings right now. We'll see how things play out, of course. But
I'm sticking to my guns.
Where there was some discussion in the chat, can you discuss where you get all of your stats from? And,
yeah,
so the breakdown.
Most of the stats I get are from Natural Stat Trick if you're just looking for raw numbers for advanced statistics. You can also find some on NHL.com depending on what you're looking for, but Natural Stat Trick is generally better. If you are a complete degenerate like me and you want to pay for private model statistics and things like that, I highly recommend JFresh for the player cards that will give you like WAR percentages and different percentages of how good a player is at certain things. And then if you like charts and graphs, Hockey Viz by Micah McCurdy is absolutely excellent. That will give you some of the individual statistics that somewhere like Natural Stat Trick does not. So those are I would say JFresh, Hockey Viz, and Natural Stat Trick are the big 3 advanced statistics places that I use. There are a couple of other ones. More than anything, don't use Money Puck. They're bad.
And I get mine from Rudo. So there you go.
There are other good models out there too. I'm not trying to talk down to the other paid models. There are some very, very good ones out there. Those are just the ones that I use. All right. I think we are winding down here. I know we have at least one super chat, so let's make sure we hit that, and then we can wrap things up. KC says, almost midnight here. Gotta hit the pillow. I can't. It's like super fuzzy on my screen with my current setup. I think it says, good night, Rudo, Big Daddy E, Tiff, and chat. Wish I could send all of you an individual super chat. Until next time. Appreciate you, Casey.
Where's Casey at again? I know that. I just don't remember.
Must be East Coast if it's almost.
Yeah,
midnight.
He's in the East Coast. Yeah.
He did say Canada in the
Coast.
watch along, so somewhere east Canada.
I thought Toronto. I thought he was in Toronto, right?
That would make sense. He's definitely asleep. He'll tell us next time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Appreciate the super chat. Either way. Look, I unashamedly feel good about this one. The Avs made their life easy. They had a good game. They took advantage of a weak team. And it's a good feeling. One that the Avs haven't felt enough probably this year. So give them credit for doing that for themselves and hopefully allowing themselves to save their legs a little bit and be ready to go against Winnipeg on that third game in 4 days that Eric despises so much.
Yeah, but then the Walrus is right. Let's see a 7 spot so we can see a shirtless Rudo.
Tonight. One short tonight on that. So
shirtless Rudo was almost. Maybe we can watch it Saturday.
Who knows? Maybe it'll look a little bit better with all the weight I lost. Who's to say? We are going to wrap things up for tonight, though. We do appreciate all y'all hanging out with us on this one. Did we get to 100 likes? I saw there were like 300 of you in here. Did you guys slack on the likes? I don't know. I can't see the likes with our current setup. But either way, we appreciate you guys.
On the likes. We're only at 90.
80, 89? Yeah, come on. Give us 10 more likes in there. We will be off tomorrow because the Avs are playing Saturday, but we'll be live for you Saturday. Pre-game, watch-along, and post-game as always. So be sure to tune in for that Winnipeg game. And, of course, you can check out all of our post-game content either late tonight or tomorrow morning, whether that's AJ's Studs and Duds or my review video, whatever it might be. Go check it out. We are done. We appreciate y'all, and we will see you on the weekend.
We all silly like the mayor.